Hi everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to Super Breakfast Friends Club, the show that this is.
Sometimes.
And is going to continue to be.
Oh, I was not aware.
Well, for the rest of this episode at least.
Okay.
We'll see what happens after that.
It's anyone's bet.
I'm Mike.
I'm not.
And we've introduced ourselves again for probably the first time this year.
Listen, I got nothing.
Play the theme song.
Much has changed since the last Mortal Kombat tournament. Dark forces of Outworld have begun invading the Earth realm. These attacks are seriously weakening Earth's dimensional fabric, enabling not only Outworlders to enter the Earth realm, but warriors from other domains as well. Only the most extraordinary warriors could possibly meet this challenge. Liu Kang, Princess Kitana, Sub-Zero, Jax, Sonya Blade, Nightwolf, Kiva, Curtis Stryker. Driven by purpose and bound by honor, these are the defenders of the realm.
It's Mortal Kombat, Defenders of the Realm, in case you couldn't tell.
Everyone's favorite show.
So, full disclosure, we were gonna do a Panzer Dragoon OVA episode because it's the 30th anniversary of Panzer Dragoon. I could not find a Japanese version of the anime. I was trying to find it subtitled so we could see the Japanese one and then compare it to the English one like we always do with anime. But the English one's out there, but the Japanese one is just not on the internet as far as I can tell. So if anybody knows where that is or has a lead on where we could find it, even an unsubbed version, even if you just know where the Japanese raw is, please let us know.
Yeah, we just want the vibes.
We would like to watch the Panzer Dragoon anime and celebrate its birthday. But since we couldn't find it, we're doing the show that Mel most wanted to return to.
Well, the show that I most wanted to return to that wasn't Donkey Kong Country.
Right. Yeah. We're putting a little stop on Mel's Donkey Kong fascination for now.
I'm real mad about it, but I'll adapt.
So we come back to Mortal Kombat Defenders of the Realm, which I was happy you suggested this because I had kind of forgotten about it, and I do like it.
It's bad. It's a bad show.
Oh, that's what I like about it.
It's a good kind of bad.
Yeah, it's my favorite kind of bad. This show is supposed to be an action-packed adventure fighting show. This show is a comedy. It's hilarious.
It's pretty funny.
It's really funny. All the fight scenes crack me up consistently. It's great.
The fight scenes, but also Raiden is my favorite character in any piece of media ever.
He is the one thing that I think is really good in the way they meant it to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, Raiden is fantastic in this show. In a completely non-ironic way. I love him. So this episode is called Acid Tongue.
What could that mean?
It's written by Sean Catherine Derrick, and it first aired October 5th, 1996. So long ago.
It is a long time ago.
I was a mere babe.
I was also a small child at the time.
So we start out on a volcano island in the ocean where a rift portal opens up, and what appears to be Reptile steps out and looks around.
Spoiler alert, it's Reptile.
No, it's not.
What? But somebody calls him Reptile later.
I know, and we'll talk about that.
Oh,
But
okay.
he comes out and he sees this calm ocean sunset, and then he declares victory.
I've done it, I've conquered Earth, I've set foot on this lone island and it's mine.
And then a bunch of party boy reptiles run out and join him.
Earthrealm is ours!
Oh, they were great. I love them.
They're just having a great time.
Hands up in the air, flailing.
Yeah, he's shouting, having a fun time on the beach.
And then immediately after, the Mortal Kombats are here.
Yeah, the Defenders of the Realm arrive in their jet planes. And Liu Kang sees these happy ninjas partying on the beach, and he decides they're not here in peace.
are they?
No idea, but they sure didn't come in peace.
I mean, how could they be? Look at them.
They just look happy and I don't know. Anyway, there's no talking. There's no attempt to like speak to or reason with the ninjas. They just hop out their planes and start kicking them.
I was gonna say, clearly it's because they're reptilians, but they don't know that.
No, they don't take off the masks yet. They just
Yeah,
see some
'cause they
ninjas
think-
and they're like, well...
They think all reptilians are dead.
Yeah. Immediately, the fighting starts and I was reminded how funny the action is in this show.
It's like the most boring action I've ever seen.
Yeah, but there's a part where a guy just like pops out from behind a rock and tries to grab Liu Kang, and it was so funny.
Yeah. It is pretty funny. It's very Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah. And then there's another part later on where Jax is up on a cliff, I think, looking down at one of them. And then it cuts to the ninja guy running at him. And then we just cut to Jax already mid-fall, just a single drawing of him coming down doing a jump kick.
Jax had it real rough this episode.
There's a lot that happens to Jax. Also, there's the part where Jax, he like smashes the ground with his fists. And
there's already a carved out portion of Earth.
We see the shockwave like move along the Earth towards the enemy, but there's already a trench where it was clearly like they had painted the trench into the background without thinking about it. And then they were like, oh, this means the trench is already going to be there. We can't animate the matte painting.
He didn't create the trench. He just sent shockwaves alongside it.
He just saw the trench and was like, oh, I could put a shockwave along there.
It looked really cool. It looked like I made the trench.
So Jax fights the leader, who introduces himself as Komodai. I thought he sounded a bit like Jim Cummings in some places, but it isn't Jim Cummings.
Good.
So Komodai is played by Josh Blyden, best known for playing Irish thug in a TV movie called Behind the Mask.
Oh, yeah, that's a really prominent part.
Literally, these were his only 2 acting credits. But he also appeared on the 70s CBS game show What's My Line?
Ooh, not to be confused with Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yes, it's not that good. Yeah, he also had done some work as a makeup artist, apparently. So,
Oh, that's cool.
in general, not a lot of stuff. He must have this must have been his side gig, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like they wrote this as Reptile, and then
Right, and then forgot.
and then somebody reminded them that Reptile was killed off in the first movie, because this is both a sequel to the second game and the first movie. It's like trying to be a sequel to both of those things at the same time.
Right.
So I think they hastily added some extra lines explaining that this is actually Komodai and not Reptile, but I think they left in some of the parts where they call him Reptile.
They very much left in parts where they called him Reptile.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Do you know about Reptile?
No, not really.
He apparently was the first ever secret character in a fighting game.
I feel like I knew that at some point.
Yeah,
but
I feel like I've
forgot
probably read it
immediately.
before, but it seems wild to me that Mortal Kombat would have been the first fighting game to have a hidden character.
Mortal Kombat just paving the way for secret characters and age restrictions.
Yeah, right? Mortal Kombat really changed the industry more than I ever think about it did, you know?
Right. Especially since it's so it's a little irrelevant nowadays.
Well, I looked into the unlock conditions for Reptile.
Yeah.
And I'm shocked that anyone ever found him.
What do you have to do?
To unlock Reptile, you had to be playing on the pit when a silhouette appeared in front of the moon, which only happens 1 in every 6 times the stage is loaded.
Okay.
Then you have to get a flawless victory on both rounds of the fight without blocking,
What?
and you have to perform a fatality at the end.
What?
And then you'll be taken to the pit bottom stage where you'll fight Reptile.
That's nuts.
Yeah, right?
Flawless victory with no blocking.
Yeah, on 2 rounds.
As a professional button masher, I could never.
No, me neither. But yeah, Reptile was a palette swap of Sub-Zero, which Scorpion... I'm not sure who came first. Sub-Zero and Scorpion and Reptile all use the same sprites but with different colors. But Reptile has the moves of both Sub-Zero and Scorpion. That was what made him special.
Oh, okay.
This Reptile has the power of the chameleon.
He turned invisible briefly and then spat acid just like chameleons.
He turned invisible one time in the whole episode, and it was right here. And it really didn't need to be a thing. It doesn't happen again.
No.
I also don't think he's in any other episodes.
That seems to be going on a lot in Defenders of the Realm.
Yeah, hang on. Let me double check just to be sure. But yeah, no, he doesn't appear again. That's that.
Okay. That's pretty anticlimactic.
Yeah, so there's really no reason for him to have the ability to turn invisible. The only time he ever uses it is to announce that he can turn invisible.
They make such a big stink of the fact that this rift doesn't close properly, and then these guys just don't come back.
Yeah, because they never do close this rift, this particular one.
No.
Not that we see, anyway. Anyway, he spits acid on Jax's robot arms.
On just 2 tiny little patches.
Yeah, very specific. Very specific.
Oh, we'll get
spots.
to specific.
We have a little commercial break. I remember us noticing this before, but every commercial break on this show happens on somebody about to die.
Right.
It's always like, he's gonna die. Does he die? Stay tuned after the break. And then the break ends and they don't die.
I just love when Komodai has Jax against the cliff face and he's just woogling his tongue at him.
He does that a few times. Yeah.
It's so good.
He's tasting the air around him. Yeah, once the commercial break ends, Sonya rescues Jax from Reptile, who uses the same grunt twice in a row during the fight. Did you notice that?
I did not.
Yeah, play it here, me.
Listen, grunting it's difficult. Take it from me. That's how we sync our podcast.
Yeah, but you don't do the exact same one twice.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If I just had like a button that would grunt for me.
They could absolutely get away with reusing grunts in this show and I wouldn't notice. It's only when they do it the same one
Back to
right
back.
next to each other. That's when I'm like, he just made that noise twice. So yeah, he escapes back into the portal and Stryker tries to seal it and he does.
Stryker and his little magic wand.
He's like acting like sealing it isn't working, but it seemed like it was working. It's a little bit slow maybe.
Yeah. I guess it never fully seals, but it looks like it does.
Yeah, I thought it did. Nobody really listens to him complaining about it not working because everyone has gathered around Jax to baby him. Because when Reptile spat on the 2 specific spots on his arms, he grabbed those parts out of his arms and threw them.
Well, he grabbed one of them out.
Oh,
Jax
okay.
grabbed the other one, but Komodai grabbed the important part. That's like the controls or something.
Yeah, there's important... He picks up the parts that came out, and then he realizes that the control chip is missing from the panel. And to me, control chip implies that chip is needed to control the arms, but he seems to be using them fine without
Right,
it.
he's still moving them around.
Yeah, so I don't know what that chip does.
Also, why would a control chip be on the side of your arm where you can't, like, meaningfully interact with it?
Well, I don't know.
I could understand, like, the shoulders. I think that's what they do with prosthetics.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I'm not certain anyone really thought about the logistics of this.
Well, we've got to have the lizard man spit acid on him, but not in a threatening way, so it has to be really specific.
I would be willing to bet that the writers were really vague about this whole thing, and the animators had to figure out on the fly what it was going to look like and where it was going to be attached.
That's a good point, yeah.
Because it's so vague. It's just like control chip. Oh, it broke the control chip. It's like, what is that? I don't know, the control chip. Sounds important.
Like, it does sound important. It sounds like it's like a motherboard and it would have been damaged by the acid. Therefore, retrieving it would not fix your robot arms.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's like, the control chip can't be replaced. It's the irreplaceable part. And I'm like, well, how did they make it then? Where did it come from?
Yeah, we don't get that information. We don't know anything about Jax's robot arms except that he wears them.
Yeah. I didn't even realize that he could take them off.
No, I thought he just had robot arms.
Yeah, I thought he lost.
They're just like sleeves.
He lost his arms or something. They're sleeves,
Yeah.
and his real arms underneath aren't any smaller than the robot arms.
They're the same size. Which is, it drives me crazy later when Jax is trying to accomplish his mission without his robot arms. He's like, I hate being a normal man, as the most triangular shaped bodybuilder I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's like, I'm so sick of being average, and it's like, I don't think you're average, Jax.
He scaled a cliffside with his bare hands.
Yeah, but he complained the whole time. He spent the whole time whining about it.
So glad nobody could see me. Use my big muscles to climb the side of this cliff.
But I love when Jax is having his freak out about the chip being missing. You see all the other defenders behind him, and I guess they're supposed to be looking on the ground for the chip, but to me it looked like everybody was embarrassed and pretending not to know him, and then Liu Kang just casually leaves. He just walks past like he's going home.
Oh, Jax is making another scene. Let's leave it to Sonya to deal with.
She's trying to speak to him, and he's like, "Oh, no, I don't want to talk about it. I'm getting in Stryker's jet." And then,
oh my god, I thought they were gonna leave Sonya on the island because he had to get in Stryker's jet.
Well, it's clearly, I guess, a kid would probably relate to this more, maybe.
True.
Because it's no, I'm sitting with Stryker at lunch. And then we just see Sonya, dejected, alone on the beach. And because each jet only has 2 seats, we get a shot where we see him, extending out a third seat that doesn't normally exist in Stryker's jet so he can get in there with Stryker and Sub-Zero.
We're putting the baby seat out for you, Jax.
They could have just had Sub-Zero switch with him. Just Sub-Zero could have ridden with Sonya instead. But no, she has to fly home alone.
No, you don't get to sit with Stryker. He's my best friend.
But anyway, so they leave, and immediately the portal reopens and fake Reptile steps back out. I'm just going to call him Reptile.
Okay.
I've just called him Reptile for the rest of my notes, because it's clear that that's who he's supposed to be.
Right.
We're back at the base. I don't remember if there's a name for the base.
The Fortress of Solitude.
The Combat Castle. Castle is spelled with a K.
Obviously.
Nightwolf is here, and he's examining Jax's arms. I kind of forgot that Nightwolf was the Batman of the show.
Yeah, he's the guy in the chair.
Yeah. Against his will, it seems. He wanted to come with them in this episode. He wasn't allowed.
Yeah, but they're like, you're the smart one, Nightwolf. You have to be the guy in the chair.
This is where I realized for the first time that Jax's arms could be removed. Apparently, I always thought he didn't have... I thought he'd lost his arms somehow.
Right.
And the robot ones were prosthetics. Apparently, there have been some versions of the character where that's true, but that had never been done up till this point.
Okay.
So I'm just wrong about that. It's not the show being wrong.
I think that's an easy mistake to make. I think most people that see Jax think that he has robot arms.
Yeah. Nightwolf explains that without the chip, the arms are busted, basically. And then they get interrupted by a combat alert, which I'm sure is spelled with a K.
Yeah, duh.
And Raiden's here. He's the best character in the show.
He's my favorite.
He is so sassy all the time. And I know we talked about it before, but he's also played by Mr. Krabs.
I always forget.
It's a big part of
so
why he's so good, I'm sure.
He's so bothered to be a part of this team.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what the guy's name is. What's the actor's name?
Mr. Krabs.
Yeah, he plays Mr. Krabs, and his name is...
Mr. Krabs.
He also plays Lex Luthor, and his name is...
Mr. Krabs.
And he plays Hank in Detroit Become Human, and his name is...
Mr. Krabs.
I know his name. I'm going to have to look it up. Clancy Brown. Thank you, Internet.
Such a good name.
Such a good name. Such a good voice. He's great. He's really good. I guess I probably first knew him as Lex Luthor, but then quickly second knew him as Mr. Krabs. Raiden. Sorry, I always forget it's pronounced Raiden in Mortal Kombat.
It's wrong.
It's wrong, but that's how they say it. He notices that Sonya is missing, and after a little checking of different, I guess, communication methods that they have, they find her back at the island looking for the chip. She's the only one who cares about Jax.
Well, they're partners, and everybody else is tired.
Yeah, it's true. Raiden is basically just like, shut up, Jax. Earthrealm is under attack. We have to do something.
Forget the chip. Get your butt in the dragon jet. The rip started.
But Sonya finds the chip, and Jax says he could kiss her, but he's not going to because it would ruin the romantic tension.
Yeah, obviously. And also because he's in baby mode right now.
He's in baby mode for like 90% of this episode. Anyway, Sonya gets attacked, and the feed is suddenly lost. And we cut to Reptile just repeatedly tripping Sonya to the ground. It's very funny.
It is. It looks like he's just kicking the shit out of her.
To me, it looked like gameplay. It looked like someone just like running up to someone and doing a down B move over and over again to trip them up. Like small damage, but you can't move for a second.
Right.
Would
just
be really
being annoying. Just griefing.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
He just griefs her and then spits so precisely that she holds up her arm and it eats the face of her combat watch.
Yeah, she just blocks it with her watch. And she yells acid, so we know exactly what it is. Even though...
In case it was unclear from last time.
Yeah, in case we'd missed it or like we came in after the commercial. So, since they can't see what's going on with Sonya anymore, Raiden has them check on the rift, where a bunch of Shokan warriors are pouring into Earthrealm.
Raiden's like another day down the toilet. It's so good.
Yeah, so he's gonna have to fight with them because they're short-handed, and he's mad about it. The Shokans have been around since the first game because Goro, the mini boss of the first game, was one of them.
Yeah,
and they've apparently been pretty common ever since throughout the series. I love like everybody leaves to go and do what they have to do, and Raiden's like, "You go and save Sonya, and we'll go to the Shokans, and Nightwolf will stay at the base."
Guys, I want to come along.
Everybody leaves, and Jax is just standing there staring at the ground.
Well, yeah.
You guys just don't get it. All I am is a strong man. I'm nothing to the team without my bionics. I never thought I'd say this out loud, but I'm scared. I'm afraid I'll find out I don't have what it takes without my super strength.
You know what, Jax? That's a very mature thing to come to, but you're acting like a baby about it.
This also feels like a good time to point out that Jax debuted in Mortal Kombat 2 and didn't get his robot arms until Mortal Kombat 3.
Listen. This is Defenders of the Realm, okay? It does things a little differently.
Okay. Just saying, you know. He was already a Mortal Kombat guy before the robot arms.
It's a little bit of a manufactured problem.
It feels so... Like, it's very clearly a brains over brawn story, which are pretty common in children's media, but this one in particular feels really forced and cliched to me.
Yeah.
So he goes to the island where he says he's never felt so naked and alone.
After he gets a pep talk from Nightwolf.
Yeah, well...
Listen, he's barely in this episode. Let him have his moment.
I hope that Nightwolf gets a whole episode to himself at some point.
He has to, right?
He deserves it. Meanwhile, the others have arrived at a condemned mine. We know it's condemned because there's a sign that says so.
Yeah. How would you know otherwise?
There's a tiny hole in the ground that has a rift in it. And all of the Shokan warriors just kind of like pop out of it. Like Jack in the Boxes.
It's like a perfect square.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Like, who carved this Shao Kahn hole in this abandoned mine?
So Shiva pops out of it. Do you know anything about Shiva?
No. I know what she looks like.
She was introduced in Mortal Kombat 3 as a playable character. She was the only playable character who was animated via stop motion instead of portrayed by a live actor like all the others were.
Huh.
And she's usually considered a neutral character who's loyal only to her race.
Okay.
She's fought on both sides. She's fought against and with Liu Kang and his friends over the course of the series. Which would be something interesting to explore, I think.
Yeah.
But it sounds like this is the only episode she appears in. So...
Oh my god, just the villain of the week.
Yeah, really. Such a shame.
This show is not here to provide a lot of compelling lore.
No. She's played by Dawn Lewis, who was apparently best known as Jaleesa on A Different World, which was a spin-off of The Cosby Show, starring the oldest daughter of the family going to college.
Okay.
But she left the show after the first season because she got pregnant.
Oh.
So then the rest of the time, it's just its own show. It ran for at least 5 years. I think more than 5 years. And it only had its main character. It only had its intended main character for the first season. And then they had to have a new one.
Well, it sounds like they made do.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it probably got better after it stopped being tied to the Cosby Show, to be honest.
Right.
Yeah, she also played Storm in a bunch of X-Men games. She was Granny Grimm in Billy and Mandy. And then two that we know, she was La Barbara in Futurama.
Okay.
That's Hermes' wife, for anybody who watched Futurama but doesn't recognize the name. And she also played Sharona in King of the Hill.
I don't remember who that is, though.
She's a student at the Luann's
Oh,
school,
okay.
the Beauty Academy.
Okay.
She has speaking roles in 3 episodes. Okay, she's in it less than I remembered. But she's mentioned in 3 others. I think she was like a rival to Luann or something.
Anyway, she hops out of a hole and her friends start woogling their arms.
Yeah, I'd love the way they all just pop out of this hole. That's what I've written here. She orders her warriors to attack and they all stand around waving arms.
It's like the silliest idol animation because it's panning over to show the defenders of the realm who are all completely still.
Yeah. We don't really get much information. We learned that she knows Raiden. They have some kind of history. He calls her Princess Appendage.
Yes, he does.
But that's it. And it hinted at more of a backstory, and it's a shame to know that this is the only time she'll ever appear.
It's like they were given just the smallest crumbs of lore, and they crammed it into the show as much as they could, but didn't expand on anything.
Yeah. I wonder if there are any of these villains who are actually recurring, because I think there's only 13 episodes altogether. Maybe they really did just do one for each villain. Striker and Kitana are back-to-back blocking punches from these 4-armed people, by the way. Every one of these enemies they're fighting has 4 arms.
That's why she's Princess Appendage.
And yet the punches are coming so slowly that they're just really casually and lazily blocking them. It's so funny.
Yeah. I feel like with 4 arms you could probably be a better fighter, but what do I know? I only have 2.
Yeah, maybe if you've got 4 arms, it's actually just really hard to coordinate them.
I mean, but it would be hard for me, but a person who is evolved with 4 arms, shouldn't the brain be equipped for that?
You think, but maybe they haven't evolved that much. Maybe they just got 4 arms.
It's a recent evolution.
Yeah. This is the first 4-armed generation. Meanwhile, back on Volcano Island, we get this whole fairly long sequence, which to me felt like we were watching a 90s point-and-click adventure game with the UI turned off. Everything about it, from the way Jax walks around the scenes. There's one part where he comes out of the cave and walks off to the left, and it looks like...
He's so slow!
It looks like Guybrush in Monkey Island following the path of the walk. You've just clicked off screen to the left and you have to watch him follow that path.
That is a great analogy, because the whole time I'm like, aren't you in a hurry, Jax? Shouldn't you be hustling?
Yeah, and also he pauses for a long time between every action, and to me I was like, all right, yeah, this is the player considering their options. So he goes in the cave and he finds this door and he tries pull door and it doesn't work. So he tries pick up rock and throw rock at door, and that doesn't work either.
This is where he laments that he's just an average human being who just picked up a large rock and threw it at a door.
Yeah, but like he picks up the rock and then he stands there holding it above his head for so long before he throws it.
Yeah.
It's like
he had to cue up the action.
It's like a solid 5 seconds, I feel like, before he throws it.
It's like watching someone's long play.
And they're checking the guide before they actually throw it. Just like, is this actually what I'm supposed to do? Let me just check. I don't want to lose the rock if this is wrong. He doesn't even get in this door.
Yeah.
He has to go outside and climb the mountain. So the whole door scene was pointless.
It's not pointless. It's establishing that he lacks the strength of his bionic arms, and he has to now think of an alternative solution.
Oh, see, I didn't get that from it because he still picked up the rock like it was nothing, and it was bigger than his torso.
Yeah, but he didn't break down the door like a roided out freak.
Okay, you're right about that. I guess if he had his arms, he could have just ripped the door off its hinges, I guess is what they're implying.
Yeah.
Back in the mine, Raiden and Stryker knock out some Shokan and toss them back in the portal, in the pit.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the reason that they made the rift be in a hole in the ground so they could toss them in.
Instead of having to throw them up at the ceiling.
Yeah, I don't know.
The hole at this point has gotten much bigger, by the way.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, before it was just about small enough. It was just about big enough for Shiva to pop out of it on her own. But now it's huge and they can just toss whole guys in there together.
Yeah, 2 at a time.
So they needed an excuse here for why Raiden doesn't just blast all of the bad guys with lightning. Obviously, one of the writers asked about that, and they were like, "Oh, let's have them give a reason." And I love the way Raiden delivered his explanation.
Yeah.
The energy it had was real. Hello, knucklehead.
Let's see. Aside from the place caving, it's a time bomb. Hello.
Think, McFly, think.
Am I the only one that notices these red explosive barrels placed at all of the support beams?
Oh, back on Volcano Island, Jax is climbing the wall, and I got my biggest laugh of the whole episode when he reached the top.
Oh, me too.
He reaches the top of the cliff, he's very happy, and then Reptile just kicks him back down. And there's
immediately.
And there's no music, there's no sound. He just kicks him back down and then just stands there in silence for a couple seconds.
I did it! I really pulled it off. Congratulations.
Look out! No!
I was convinced we were going to have to watch Jax climb back up.
Yeah, but he just hops back up somehow. Just boing.
I think the implication is he somehow grabbed a ledge and hung on.
Well, maybe, but he just hops back up. He doesn't climb back up. He just jumps back up.
Yeah. Listen.
Anyways.
I got nothing.
So Sonya tells Jax that he has to use his head.
This was the third biggest laugh in the episode.
with the statue?
Where he disguises himself as he disguises a pile of rocks, and it momentarily tricks Reptile into thinking it's him.
He made a statue of himself in a second, by the way. He's out of sight for a second at most. And he's built a statue of himself out of rocks. And he's taken off his boots and put them on the statue.
It's just an amorphous pile of rocks, and Reptile's like, oh, there he is.
Right. The fact that Reptile's fooled by it, to me, suggests that his race recognize individuals primarily by their feet.
And now that Jax has leapt out with his bare feet, he has no idea who this man is.
Yeah. Also, when Reptile is just repeatedly spitting acid at him, Jax is he's just dodge rolling in a circle, and it feels really video gamey.
Yeah.
But then I realized this wasn't a thing in video games yet.
Dodge rolling?
Yeah, but this captures it so perfectly.
Yeah, that's me playing Monster Hunter.
Yeah, right? But this was 1996. Mario 64 had just come out.
Mario couldn't roll.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying.
I know. I'm saying he's the jump man.
The show pioneered it. I don't know. There's probably an earlier game that had dodge rolling, but the first game that I'm aware of it in is Ocarina of Time, which was 2 years after this show.
So they stole from Defenders of the Realm.
That's exactly where I was going with this. Yeah. Miyamoto was watching...
Everybody watched this show.
Miyamoto was watching Mortal Kombat, Defenders of the Realm, and he saw Jax dodge rolling in a circle to avoid these acid spits. And he imagined Link dodge rolling from some flaming keys.
He saw this giant hulking man and thought, but what if he was a twinky little fairy boy?
Yeah. So, what about the part where Jax holds up a rock for Reptile to spit on and then just stands there holding it for a long time?
Well, now he has to consider. Well, because he held the rock and it got spit on, and in his inventory, he noticed that the name changed, which means that the properties changed. And he had to consider what to do.
Oh, it has a new inventory icon now.
It's now acid rock.
I must have to do something with this.
They wouldn't let me do this for no reason.
Yeah, all that stuff I picked up before I came, I have to use it for something. Where am I going to use the rubber chicken with the pulley in the middle?
He brandishes his acid rock at Sonya like he's going to smash her handcuffs, and then just gently places the acid against them.
Yeah. I love how he comes at her with the rock and she's like, "What are you doing?" Yeah, the acid burns through her chains. Because she was I don't think we mentioned that. She's been chained to a rock this whole time.
Yeah, that's why she can't fight.
And then Reptile suddenly starts shooting fireballs from his hands. Because that's the thing he could do all along, apparently.
Yeah, he has the power of the chameleon.
So Jax gets knocked down, but now Sonya's free, so she shoots, I don't know, magic out of her hands, I guess.
Her energy beam thing, whatever.
Yeah, which gives Jax a chance to finish things. I feel like she did this in another episode, but as she does her last hit, she shouts, "Kiss off!"
It's her catchphrase.
I hate it.
It's not good.
The only reason to ever say kiss off is because you don't have the guts to say piss off, but you still really want to say it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, she could have just said anything else.
But she's the sassy one with all the fun catchphrases.
It's like, kiss off is an attempt to be edgy, but without the guts to actually be edgy.
Right.
Which makes it feel completely pointless to me.
It would make sense if her powers were kiss powered. If she blew a big smooch at Reptile.
Oh yeah, okay.
But she didn't.
Another part where I really laughed is at the end of this scene where she walks up to thank him. She says, "You're pretty smart for a lug." And then there's a really long pause, and then immediately really intense music starts.
You know, you're pretty smart for a lug.
As the scene changes, and like through the entire long pause, there's no animation. It's just the two of them staring at each other, and he's not smiling. She's just like,
he was just insulted by the fact that she called him a lug, and he's letting it sink in.
Yeah, he just glares at her until the scene changes.
I forgot to mention that about 90% of every episode of Defenders of the Realm is intense electronic music.
Oh yeah, it's trying really hard to sound like Mortal Kombat. It's
off-brand enough that you can recognize it, but it's still just kind of goofy.
Yeah. A lot of the time it doesn't feel... There was some music I thought was... I think it was during Nightwolf's pep talk for Jax, where I was like, this music is actually pretty good, and it's almost selling the emotion to me. It almost has me believing in Jax's pain here.
It's time you went digging for it. Look, if you can't find it for yourself, then maybe you can for your friend. Sonya needs you, man.
I'll try. I just don't know.
And then immediately, dun, 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 dun.
Yeah. It didn't quite get me there because Jax's pain was still a little bit too silly to me, but what's funny about it is these are all adult characters, but all of the problems in this episode are very childish.
Yeah.
And I at some level I get it because they are, this show is for children.
Right.
But I think things like this, when the characters are children, it's fine and like it doesn't bother you because they're children. But when the characters are grown adults like this, fighting alien enemies in an apocalyptic setting,
right.
I'm like, I don't really buy these high school, not even high school, these are like elementary school problems.
It comes off a bit silly.
It does, yeah. Meanwhile, back at the mine, it's caving in.
It's exploded. The explosive powder that lines the walls has been struck.
Had that already happened? I feel like it was caving in on its own first.
It's a chicken and egg scenario.
Listen, did the explosion cause the cave-in? Did the cave-in cause the explosion? We may never know. Because it caved in,
never care.
Exploded and caved in. So all the evidence is buried.
So now the Shao Kahn are trapped inside their rift forever because the mine conveniently died.
Right,
at the end.
but they all escaped back into the portal. And Shiva invites the Mortal Kombat to chase them so they can finish the fight in there. But they don't. They run away. They leave.
No. Our job here is done.
They get out just before the mine collapses. But yeah, so the mine has collapsed onto the rift. So I've got some questions about how this works.
Do the rocks go in the rift?
Do the rocks go in the rift? Did all of the rocks from the cave-in just like fire through the rift into the other realm? Like a rock avalanche?
Maybe.
Which would mean the mine is safe still, right? Because all the rocks went in the portal.
There's just a big rectangular shape in the rubble.
I don't know if the rocks fell through the portal or if the rocks have blocked up the portal. Either way, they didn't close the portal. It's still open in there, which feels like it would be a problem.
Who knows?
But anyway, Jax and Sonya show up just in time to see everybody escape the mine, except Raiden.
Oh no.
That's because Raiden could just teleport out. And that was kind of spoiled for us earlier on in the episode when he said he could do that.
Or when he teleported in, because like they get to the mine and they're like, what? Where's Raiden? And then he just shows up.
Yeah, but also when there's that part where Stryker questions why Raiden doesn't just use his electric powers, and Raiden's like, well, because it'll blow up the whole mine, idiot. After that, he then says, of course, I could just blow up the whole mine and teleport myself out before it's a problem. So
True.
we knew that he could do that, so...
And was planning to, or
was at least considering it. So when he teleports out here, it wasn't surprising in any way.
Yeah, I think it was just convenient that the mine collapsed because he was already halfway out the door.
Yeah, we didn't actually see him running, did we, at all? He was just
We just saw the lack of him.
Yeah. So Jax and Sonya have arrested Reptile. He's in chains now. Left to our imagination what becomes of him, I guess, since he doesn't appear again.
Jail.
Maybe Raiden ate him.
Maybe.
And then back at base, Jax has his repaired arms back on, because Sonya found the chip, remember?
Yeah, I was there.
His arms are repaired now, and he has them back on. And Sonya's disappointed, because she thought that he had learned a lesson about brains over brawn. But he says, don't worry, Sonya, I did learn that lesson, and I'm choosing to ignore it.
Well, the thing here is that he can't unequip his brain. It's coming with him whether he wants it or not. So why not also have robot arms?
Yeah, that's true. That is basically what he says, but I prefer my summation of it.
Your summation lacks nuance.
This isn't a show about nuance.
I don't know what you're talking about. This is high art.
You're thinking of Super Dinner Time Discussion Club.
Now, what do you think the meaning behind the robot arms really is?
I believe the arms represent giving and taking away.
Of robot arms.
Oh, Mortal Kombat, Defenders of the Realm.
You hot garbage.
Give us another season.
No, they might take it seriously.
No, don't update it at all. Hire the same people and give them the same budget they had.
Because I worry if they did it in this day and age, it would be like that X-Men that came out recently that was actually really good.
Oh, yeah. Well, I believe fans of the original X-Men cartoon would argue that that was really good.
Really good in a... I was a child and it entertained me kind of way.
I've never seen it. All I've seen of it is that meme with the Wolverine looking at the photo on the bed.
It's so good.
Well, I don't really have anything to say. I don't think there was a legacy to this.
What?
As far as I can tell, what was his name? Komodai?
Yeah.
He's never appeared again or been referenced.
Well, he was supposed to be Reptile all along, so they couldn't do anything with him.
I have no confirmation that that's the case. That's just what I suspect.
He was Reptile.
It does seem that way, yeah. I love this show.
Me too. It's so bad.
It's really stupid and it's really bad, but I love it.
But we have a great time every time we visit.
Every time.
Remember the dinosaurs in that cave?
No.
In the second episode we watched?
No? What?
It's just a cave full of dinosaurs.
What? I know, I don't remember that at all.
Well, now you're going to have to go back and listen to Super Breakfast Friends watching the second episode of Mortal Kombat Defenders of the Realm.
I gotta rewatch the episode, I think. Who's your favorite Mortal Kombat? That's a stupid question, it's Raiden.
Yeah, duh.
I shouldn't have asked.
He's so sassy.
He's so good. Do you think Clancy Brown remembers doing this?
No.
I don't know, I'm always surprised. I didn't think that Bill Farmer would remember doing Sam and Max, but apparently he does. Fondly remembers it and he was sad that they didn't call him back to do the Telltale games.
But this was like 13 episodes. He had like 10 lines.
Yeah, but Bill Farmer only did one Sam and Max game. I guess one point and click adventure game dialogue is probably like 5 days recording though. So
right.
At least. If you would like to watch Mortal Kombat Defenders of the Realm, it's all on, I think it's on YouTube and archive.org and probably other places. I don't think you can buy this show. I don't think anybody's selling it.
That's a damn shame.
I think this show is kind of abandoned by its owners, unfortunately.
I can't imagine why.
I wonder if... I don't even know who owns Mortal Kombat anymore. It used to be Midway, but I don't know if Midway still exists anymore. But I wonder if whoever owns the rights to this show even, like, knows that they own it.
They've forgotten.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I could ever forget being a part of something like this. When I sit back and watch the final product and just think about all the time I've wasted.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the animators and the writers remember it. I just wonder if the voice actors do, because
that's fair.
You know, voice actors, they do so much.
Yeah,
it's a pretty intense gig, voice acting.
I swear I've heard somewhere that sometimes they don't even know what they're recording for. They just get the lines and read them.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. So there's a lot.
Yeah,
and that's why, like, when I'm playing, like, I'm playing Persona 5 right now, and fairly often there'll be lines where I'm like, oh, that's clearly not, you know, the emphasis that sentence was supposed to have.
Right.
You know, like the wrong word will be emphasized in the sentence, so it doesn't quite make sense in the context. And I'm like,
yeah.
But I'm never like, man, the voice actor should know better. My thought is always, the director should have corrected that, you know?
It's not the voice actor's fault. I don't understand how things like that get into the final product. Like, you know that's not what they mean.
Yeah, because I'm sure, like, the voice actor gets the lines. I'm sure they don't know the context of all of these lines. And it shouldn't be their job to. So, like, if they're saying a sentence where they emphasize the wrong line, the director should be like, actually, can you emphasize this word because they're actually referring to something that's in the room or whatever, you know? Things like that.
Right. I'm afraid you can't come in here.
Yeah, right. Okay, now we got to tell the story. I don't know if we told it on one of the Shenmue episodes, but...
I don't know. Probably.
In Shenmue 1, which is one of my favorite games in the world, one of my favorite parts, there's a guy you can talk to down at the docks, and it's one of these lines that, like, reveals how the voice acting was done, because the lines are split up into sections. The line is, I'm afraid you can't come in here, but it's split into 2 separate files. And the first one is I'm afraid, and the second one is you can't come in here. And clearly the actor read those 2 things separately from each other when he did the line recording. So I'm afraid you can't come in here became I'm afraid you can't come in here. And it's so funny.
It's so good.
But yeah, that's like a prime example of they weren't given the context for these lines. They were just given the lines divorced from anything.
Yeah, like Mortal Kombat.
Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. I think we're done.
Yeah, we beat the level.
If you would like to hear us watch more Mortal Kombat, hear us watch it. Hear us talk about having watched it. You could always request us do that if you were a member of Club Mesmeron on our Patreon.
Ooh, exclusive club.
Yeah, which nobody is right now. We don't have a Mesmeron right now, but we're open to new Mesmerons. You're gonna come in and give us money to watch whatever the heck you want us to watch.
Let's get some coffee. Let's talk.
There's an investment opportunity here.
We've got spreadsheets. We've got pie charts. They don't say anything, but we have them.
Yeah, we know how to make them. I've got Microsoft Excel.
I made mine look like a Pac-Man.
Whoa. Thank you to our club VIPs, Mark Kelly and Jamie Core.
Thanks, Fred.
You've been with us for quite some time now.
What's wrong with you?
Except that we love you.
It's a blight that nothing can cure.
I'm Skull Pirate Mike. You can come and find me on Blue Sky where I'm doing things. Right now I'm drawing lots of chow. That's my current thing. Or come find me on Twitch where I'm playing Persona 5 like I just mentioned. I don't know how far through I am. I think I'm 40 hours in, which I think is less than halfway through the game.
Yeah, go bother Mike. Leave me alone.
Yeah, don't worry about Mel. Mel will be fine.
Just put some water in my bowl every day and I'll survive.
Bye.
I hope the microphone isn't picking up all my stomach grumbles.
I hope it is.